This is a mock interview conducted by ForumIAS Academy at New Delhi. The interview panel includes eminent professors, retired bureaucrats, and other luminaries. The objective of the program is to acquaint the candidate with the format and expectations of the personality test conducted by UPSC.
Sir, may I come in?
Come in, please.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you, sir.
Ashish Verma.
Yes, sir.
You from Karol, Bagh in Central Delhi.
No, sir. I was born in nearby hospital, but I have resided in North Delhi for most of my part, and then in South Delhi.
Mechanical engineering option. Studied in Kendriya Vidyalaya, Shalimar, Bagh. Then shifted to Puram.
Yes, sir.
From JAMIA, MILLIA, you've done mechanical engineering.
Yes, sir.
In the year 2018, you have worked as an executive engineer with Siemens Limited for a year. And then your hobby is watching movies by Christopher Nolan and jogging.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Verma, you've been living in Delhi.
Yes, sir.
Delhi has been facing the problem of pollution in a very big way. For the past several years, this problem comes up by the end of the year, around October, November. Courts call everybody, the state government, central government. They give orders, the Punjab government, the Haryana. Nothing happens. It goes on its own by February, March. Why is this happening like that? Why not any solution?
Sir, Delhi and NCR has this problem. So the approach to deal this is not right. The airshed approach of whole Indo-Gangetic plain should be adopted. For that, a new commission has been formed, Commission on Air Quality Management. So it has overriding powers when the pollution breaches a certain limit. So it can give guidelines that can override state government rules. So this is one step that can be that is being done. Another thing is the Delhi NCR is also the major center of North India, collecting all rural side employment, and a lot of rural to urban migration happens there. So the population density of Delhi is also the highest. So because of this and the waste collection and the waste distribution, the population is not adopting the public mobility solutions. So they are also using cars and such things. So the pollution is rising because of many reasons. Another major reason is the agriculture stubble burning in nearby areas because of rice cultivation. So it leads to the spike in pollution that you said in October, November, along with festivals and the wedding season. Firecrackers are also burnt. So lackadaisical implementation of the guidelines of the Supreme Court in this regard is also one of the reasons. So yes, these are the reasons because
stubble burning. Have you read about it carefully?
Yes.
Why
Sir.
It is happening? Yes. What is the reason?
Sir, rice cultivation. It has the new rice variety that is there. It has a longer period of harvesting. So by the time monsoon dissipates from the northern India, so the farmers have to quickly clear the field of previous rice cultivation to sow wheat. So because of the less time available and the high cost of labor, especially after COVID, because most of the labor had gone to their hometowns. So they use the easy and convenient method of burning the stubble because it is very cheaper. So they are doing that. But so this is the reason of stubble
Haryana has
burning.
managed to do something.
Yes, sir.
They are giving some subsidy.
Yes, sir. In
Farmers who
Haryana.
don't burn.
Yes, sir. In Haryana, there is a Indian Oil refinery, and Indian Oil is buying stubble and converting that stubble into energy. So Haryana, because of this major reason, has been able to reduce their stubble burning incidents, but not Punjab, because there is not such waste to energy investment in that high
Can
value.
we not have the rice variety which can mature in lesser time so that you have gap for the
So,
next season?
yes, sir. The Indian Agriculture Institute is delving into this, that they have formed a new rice variety that has shorter harvesting time. But since it's a new variety, farmers are not believing it that the yield of it would reduce, or it may have some unintended consequences for their farm field. So that is why it is not adopted in that manner.
So till that time, till when the solution comes out, people of Delhi and neighboring areas will suffer from this kind of a problem.
Sir, unfortunately, we have seen this from the last several years, that we know what is the problem, but we are not able to coordinate on this problem to deal it head on. The stubble burning share in Delhi's pollution varies along different months in different amount. For example, during Diwali's share is also rising, but the stubble burning share is also around 30 to 40%. But right now, in February, March, the stubble burning incidents are not there. So since it is not a year-round activity of stubble burning, people tend to lose the reality that stubble burning and pollution from automobiles and construction waste, dust generation from construction waste is also one other reason. So yeah.
You spoke about solid waste.
Yes, sir.
Now that is also a major problem in Delhi.
Yes, sir.
There are 3 mountains. Yes, every political party promises will remove them.
Yes, sir.
And none of them have done anything. Yes, do you think it's absolutely disregard of the quality of living of people by these governments?
Sir, political parties tend to make such claims that they will do this by this deadline or that. But like stubble burning, air pollution and climate change, these environmental issues they have a long history and they have deep-rooted causes in our society, culture and economy. So it is not possible to uproot these problems in short time, but certainly measures can be taken to remove it in long term with whole of government and whole of people approach. In the case of landfills, the segregation of waste at source and monitoring of their collection and using technologies and to segregate waste at the landfills and using that waste to create energy. These 3-4 ways can be done to reduce the landfills and this waste in long term. But it will be very difficult to do this by this year, by 2024, as the Chief Minister of Delhi had claimed.
Has the commissioner system in Delhi been good for the union, good for the state, or the normal system in other states and districts, where the DM and the SP both are jointly responsible for
Sir, in case of
crime
Delhi,
control and law and order? Is the earlier system which is prevalent in a lot of districts, of the DM and SP jointly responsible better, or the commissioner system is better?
So the commissionerate system in Delhi and in other states, as the population rises, as the crime rises, and the nature of crime rises. For example, in urban centers, riots can happen. So in that case, the commissionerate system is more appropriate, because it will lead to faster decision making to control these sudden outbursts of violence and specific nature of crimes.
Okay. Thank you.
Ashish,
Yes.
you are working right now?
No, sir.
Okay, so you are working in Siemens.
So I was working in Siemens from 2018 July to September to July 2019.
So basically, what role you were doing? You were executive engineer. What was your role?
Sir, I was design engineer in the research and development department of gas turbine engines.
Gas turbine engines.
Yeah, so I was given the role of designing tools to handle, store and transport gas turbine and its parts.
Okay. So what is the, see there are so many gas turbine engines you are talking.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there are so many types of engines.
Yes,
What is the efficiency of each engine?
Sir, in gas turbine, or are you comparing with them with car engines?
With yes, car engines.
Car engines. Okay, sir. In car engines, the efficiency is usually around 30 to 40%. And in gas turbine, it can go up to 60-70%.
Acha. Why?
Sir, because gas turbine, they are combined with steam power plant as well. So the heat rejected by the steam is utilized by the gas turbine to reduce loss of heat. And also gas turbine is a continuous rotating machine. So it has less frictional losses. But in car engines, in internal combustion engines, there is sliding movement of piston in a cylinder. So the frictional losses are higher.
So these gas turbine engines will be used in power plants?
Yes, sir. In power plants and in aircraft engines as well.
Aircrafts also?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the efficiency is 80%, you are saying?
No, sir. The current claim of Siemens company is 68%.
Around 70%.
With combining
Around 70%.
with yes, sir, 68%.
Are there any other engines with more efficiency?
In power industry, the gas turbine and steam turbine combined is the only thing that every company is targeting to increase efficiency. In
power plants, no. There are so many types of power plants.
But in electric vehicles, if you are also considering them to be engines to drive movement, their efficiency is quite high, because they are directly converting energy to rotary movement.
In electric vehicles?
Electrical energy to
okay, we will discuss that. Coming to the power plants, there are so many types of power plants. You know, you are aware of power plants?
Yes, sir. There is steam power plant, thermal, they use coal to produce heat and then drive the turbine. And there are nuclear energy power plant. They use the energy released by nuclear fission.
There are gas power plants also?
Yes, they use natural gas to drive gas turbine and produce energy by connecting it with a generator. And there are also ocean thermal energy conversion and other windmills. Windmills are also there that can produce energy. And solar energy is there.
Have you heard of term supercritical, critical?
Yes, sir. In power plant, in steam power plant itself, there is a temperature of supercritical temperature of water. So if you raise the temperature of steam in the boiler to above supercritical temperature, then there is very less heat in latent heat of vaporization. So it has very high efficiency compared to non-supercritical power plant.
There is one more term, like in thermal power plants, no? There is one term called ultra thermal power plants. Have you heard of that?
I'm sorry, sir, I have not heard
You
of
have
that.
not heard of that?
No.
Okay, fine. Very fine. So you have studied in JAMIA, MILLIA, ISLAMIA, right?
Yes, sir.
So it's a minority institution?
Sir, it's a central university with reservation for minority.
It has got minority education status?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what are the rights available to minority education institutions in the constitution? Are there any rights?
Under Constitution, Article 29 and 30, specifically Article 30 provides minorities to establish their cultural and educational institutions for promotion of their culture and their thing. So under Constitution, Article 30 is specifically given for minorities, under which they have established such universities.
This JAMIA MILLIA also comes under that one.
Yes, sir, but its status is right now contested in Supreme Court, where because it's established under a Central University Act enacted by Parliament. So the contention is itself that how can you provide reservation in that organization which is being funded by the government.
Okay, good.
So
just tell me, what is the difference between judicial activism and judicial overreach?
Sir, judicial activism can be when there is vacuum of law. Vacuum of law. When a law is not enacted about a certain issue, people are going to the court. But about the inaction of the government and the parliament, that they are not enacting certain laws for our protection. For example, in the recently...
so that is regarding enacting laws, that's what you are saying?
Yes, sir. Enacting law or executive inaction, when the executive is not doing its job, where the aggrieved party is considering that executive is not doing its job, so it goes to the court and to plea for justice. So the court has two roles here to play. It can either direct the government or the parliament to enact a law or take an action, or it can itself, using powers under Article 142, can give justice to the victim and create a new law which is called court law. So here the judiciary is doing...
Okay, what is then judicial overreach?
So judicial overreach is when judiciary is frequently going into the domains of parliament and the executive. So, and going out of its expertise, because the judiciary is not expert in policy domains.
For example? In a recent instance to court?
So for judicial overreach, for example, people have said that the LGBTQ, the case that was discussed in the Supreme Court recently. So people were saying that it involves cultural and biological and physiological things to be discussed, and judiciary has no expertise in these manner. So it should stay away from enacting any court law for this and leave it to the parliament. So people were saying that this would be judicial overreach. And judicial activism example is that
What is good then? What is good? Judicial activism is good or overreach?
Sir, judicial activism is good, but frequently doing it and going outside one's own expertise and into the domain of executive and parliament is not right, because it leads to distrust between these three organs of the state and leads to loss of trust.
I will ask you one last question. Why the Indian stock market is booming from the past so many years? What is the reason?
Sir, after COVID, India was the few of the major economies that was clocking a high growth rate. So foreign portfolio investors also came into India to invest it, and also the rising middle class. After COVID, people who filed they filed a greater number of income tax, and they got aware that in stock boom, they can invest their money and raise their value of money. So they kept investing in it, and because of this, stock market is booming.
Ashish.
Yes, ma'am.
We were just talking about judicial overreach, and you mentioned that they exercising powers for executive and parliament, right? So separation of powers is under which article of the Constitution?
Ma'am, separation of powers comes under various articles. So
what are the provisions?
One article can be Article 112, I think, where the courts are prohibited, or the parliament is, one article is Article 112, another is Article 113. So the courts are prohibited to interfere in the proceedings of the parliament, and the parliament is prohibited from discussing any court law.
What are electoral bonds?
Ma'am, electoral bonds are an anonymous instrument to collect donation for a political party. It is done anonymously under a 15-day period. The State Bank of India does that.
The bonds then.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the recent ruling for electoral bonds?
Ma'am, Supreme Court has struck it down, the electoral bond scheme. Ma'am, because it is contested that it leads to anonymous political donation and it may lead to crony capitalism, and also
It's against which fundamental right?
it is against Article 19, freedom of speech and expression, and freedom to know which party is getting funded. And
Okay. What is the status of startups in India? Are they growing?
ma'am, startup funding post-COVID in 2021 was great because we clocked the massive number of unicorns. But after that year, it has slumped in this year and the past year. The startup funding is drying.
Now, what is corporate governance?
Ma'am, corporate governance is the compliance of the corporate laws by the corporates and working of the ecosystem of these laws and the working of the corporates for the benefit of whole of the society. They should raise funding in an ethical manner. They should disclose their income and expenditure.
And they should function in an
CSR.
ethical manner.
In an ethical manner, do
Right.
CSR funding.
My last question to you, are you familiar with the recent recommendations of Law Commission?
About UCC, madam?
No. About elections, common election?
About simultaneous elections, madam? No, ma'am. I have not heard, not read about the recommendations.
All right. So your optional is mechanical engineering.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What do you understand by entropy?
So entropy is a degree of disorderness in a system. So, for example, mixing of two fluids, mixing of two liquids at different temperature or at the same temperature even will lead to greater disorderness. So when the entropy of the universe increases, this is the third law of thermodynamics, that entropy of the universe will always increase. So the disorderness of the system will always increase. So it gives rise to the time. Time's direction is always in the forward direction because of this third law of thermodynamics.
How would you reduce the entropy of the society?
Sir, entropy of society from a mechanical engineering point of view can be reduced by having greater dialogue between communities, between state and the people, and having a bridge between state and people, for example, NGOs and civil society organizations. They can reduce the disorderness and the lack of communication between people and the state. Also, by reducing poverty, this disorderness can be reduced, and having educated population that knows about the limitations of the state and the role of the state. So such dialogue and communal dialogue can happen in the society to decrease its entropy.
Okay. In electrical vehicles, which kind of machine motor is used? Which motor
Sir,
is used?
AC motor.
AC motors have a lot of motors, induction motor or three-phase induction motor, single-phase induction motor. Be
Sir,
precise.
I'm not aware about the type of motor, but it's an AC motor because there is also the battery.
What is the difference between AC and DC motor?
Sir, in DC there is fixed rotation. There is fixed RPM of the motor and
What
the
is the
wheel.
role of commutator in DC motor?
Sir, I don't
There is a
remember, sir.
commutator in DC
Yes, sir,
motor.
there
Are you
is.
aware?
Yes, sir, there is, but I do not remember it.
All right. So, if I ask you that hybrid vehicles which are in popularity nowadays, so hybrid vehicle versus electrical vehicles, which one is better and why?
So both have their advantages at this stage of India. I think hybrid vehicles are better. Electric vehicles are indeed better because they are more cleaner. They do not use gasoline fuel to move the vehicle. But in hybrid vehicle, we have both cases of having the motor and the vehicle. So in case of India right now, I think hybrid vehicles are better because we don't have charging infrastructure well established across the country.
All right. So you watch movies of Christopher Nolan. Which movies of Christopher Nolan you have watched so far?
So the latest one, Oppenheimer, that was released.
Oppenheimer. And before that?
Before that, so Tenet. And
Tenet was using a concept of time bend, right?
Yes, sir.
What is time bend exactly?
So it was not time bend, it was reversal of time. So it was using this concept of entropy itself, that the antagonists in the film have discovered a device that can reverse the entropy of the whole universe. So, and the protagonists are trying to stop them because at that stage of the film, the protagonists were had the control of whole of the entropy. They were going forward, and the antagonists were coming backwards in time.
Okay. So talking about Oppenheimer, there was a controversy about the Oppenheimer related to a verse that was used in Bhagavad Gita. Yes, sir. What was the essence of that shloka that was in the controversy, and why it was in controversy?
So the shloka was that
okay, tell me
I have become death, the destroyer of worlds. So the meaning of this shloka for Oppenheimer was he was having dilemmas in his mind that he has constructed such a device that can lead to destruction of whole of humanity. And the controversy was because of that this shlok was depicted in the movie while the actor and the actress were doing an intimate scene. So it was not an appropriate picture of the shlok and discussion of that shlok. So that's why there
was one more character which was played by Robert Downey Jr., right? Yes. Levi Strauss. What was the role of Levi Strauss in the life of Oppenheimer?
Sir, Levi Strauss initially he supported Oppenheimer in getting him to the laboratory because he had some scientific background, and later he went on to do business. Initially it was that, but during that meeting, in the first meeting, he had a ego problem. Levi Strauss had a ego problem. He thought that Oppenheimer had told Albert Einstein something that he has stopped talking to Levi Strauss. So he started going against Oppenheimer deliberately just because he hurt his ego.
Okay,
so,
my last question.
Apart from this,
vigilantism, which was shown in many of the Christopher Nolan movies, right?
Yes,
in the Batman series.
Yes, sir.
In Indian society, how do you see vigilantism in Indian society? Is it good or bad?
So vigilantism is not good. It is certainly bad because in a society that is governed by law, the role of vigilantism should not be there, because in case of Batman, he was a good vigilante, but there can be bad vigilantes as well that will lead to social chaos. So I think it is not good.
Okay, thank you.
It was quite good, except that initially you were giving long replies. Otherwise, you are fine, you're good. You should know about Delhi, about your subject, about India's economy. Do you read an economic newspaper?
Not specifically, sir. Only 2 newspapers I am reading right now.
Which ones?
So Times of India and Indian Express.
Indian Express. You can add, you have a lot of time.
Sir, I can add Mint newspaper.
Sorry?
So Mint, there is Mint newspaper for economics.
Economic Times or Mint or Business Standard, I'm finding not all that good these days. Economic Times is better. Mint is also good. So you have time, you read some of the current events in the Indian economy.